All right, good evening. We will call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first on the agenda is the approval of the memorandum of the September 4th, 2018 regular meeting. A copy has been posted. Any questions, or I would take a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a first from Councilor Spies, second from Councilor Hopper. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The memorandum of the September 4th, 2018 regular town council meeting is approved by a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Next up is departmental September monthly reports. Reports were submitted by the town management staff for council review, and they're also posted on the town website. I know we just got these today, but any questions for anybody on town staff? Okay. Request to speak, Amy?
There were no requests to speak.
All right, moving right along. Old business. We've got a consideration of a zone map change ordinance to rezone approximately 14.56 acres from the urban B-2 business zoning district to the urban residential R-MF-2 multifamily zoning classification. This comes to us as a recommendation of approval from the Zionsville Plan Commission. This was continued from the August 6, 2018 and the September 4th, 2018 Town Council meetings. This is ordinance number 2018-16. Mr. DeLong, anything you'd like to comment on this?
Thank you. Good evening. Very briefly, and as you articulated already, this is a petition that's in front of you this evening with a favorable recommendation from your Plan Commission to rezone to the RMF2 classification. The petitioner is here this evening to answer any questions specific to the project.
Cool. Questions? Yeah,
just to confirm, this is the new apartment complex on Michigan?
Correct. It's a 218-unit apartment complex. The former owner of the property, or maybe the closing hasn't happened, is the Walmart property.
Yep. Thanks.
We know what, if tax-wise, what we'll get from that versus if it was a business or something. Is there a comparison there by chance?
I don't have a comparison offhand. It's the same percentage. I don't know if petitioner has any specific information on that. Okay.
Do we know, is the entirety of the property in Zionsville, as I recall, part of the Walmart property was part in Carmel?
Correct. There's a boundary line that splits the property. A good size of it, 14 acres or so, is within Boone County, town of Zionsville. The remainder of the property is within the city of Carmel. The piece of property that's on the Carmel side of the line is not involved in the apartment development at any rate.
Are they going to seek rezoning from the Carmel side as well in order to develop the whole property, or do we not have
Yeah,
that?
I don't know that offhand.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. DeLong or the petitioner? I would take a motion.
Move.
I've got a first from Councilor Schuler, second from Councilor Suarez.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Ordinance number 2018 is adopted by a vote of 6 in favor, 1 opposed. Next, on to new business. First up, we have a consideration of an additional appropriation resolution from the MVH Fund in the amount of $38,073.55 to reimburse the village drainage line item with the amount paid to the town by AT&T for the conflict with their utilities on the 4th Street Storm Sewer Project Phase 2. This is a public hearing. This is resolution number 2018-14. Mr. Lance, you're up.
It's a pretty complete description there on the agenda. I don't know what else I can add. AT&T was in our way. We didn't find out till we were under construction. They paid us back for our additional costs, and we are now appropriating that money so we can spend it on the project.
Sounds good to me.
So it went into the general fund instead of?
No, it was deposited into the MVH fund, but we have to appropriate it before we can spend it.
Okay.
Is it going to be spent specifically on drainage issues then?
Yeah, this was the 4th Street drainage project, additional costs for that as a result of AT&T's misinformation.
It's already been spent, so we're reimbursing, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. This is a public hearing. I have proof of publication that this is a public hearing. I will open up to anyone that would like to come and discuss this matter. All right. right, I will close that. Any other questions or motions to be made?
Move approval?
First from Councilor Suarez, second from Councilor Plunkett. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Resolution number 2018-14 passes with a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Next, we have a consideration of an excess levy appeal resolution. This is also a public hearing. This is resolution number 2018-15. Deputy Mayor Mitro.
Thank you. We have two very closely related but yet separate items on the agenda, that's B and C. The first is excess levy appeal. As you recall, earlier this year, we did a transition of several areas from the rural district to the urban service area, taking effect January 1. As a part of that, with that going into the additional services, most importantly, streets, although to a lesser degree, police as well. We looked to gain additional revenue from the levy. As a part of that, we would need to do a levy appeal in order to be able to budget for that. So the extension of services levy appeal is allowed by state statute. We are applying for $527,828, which was the calculated figure done by Crow at the time we did the transition from the rural to the urban service district. This again allows us, it's kind of a wash. It is money in and then money out to help pay for additional services, most importantly streets. Both Mark and Becca from Crow are here should you have any detailed questions, but this is just a next step in the process of accomplishing what we started earlier this year.
Mr. Adam, anything to add to that or questions?
So that's just for us to get the tax money from that
Yes.
to take care of all those things.
Yes.
With the projection for the personnel, it isn't increasing over the following 19, 20, 21. Is there any anticipation for increase for inflation and raises for personnel or raises in prices of supplies?
It took into account one additional person for the street
Right.
department.
But it holds firm for 3 years across the board, and I was just curious if that would increase over time.
What will happen is the NVH will be able to absorb that.
Okay.
Because what you're looking at is there are a number of one-time costs, equipment, trucks, that kind of thing.
Oh, it's broken out. Thank you. It's broken out in the information that we had received. It's just there are items, there are totals for 19, 20, and 21, and they are all the same. So that was my question. If they were anticipating inflation.
Any other questions? Any questions?
Yeah, well, that was my.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, so, thank you.
This is a public hearing. I have proof of publication of that as well. I will open the public hearing. I would like to come join Deputy Mayor Mitro up there to make a comment. All right, I will close the public hearing. Sorry, Ed. Any other questions for Mr. Mitro? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Got a first from Councilor Spies, second from Councilor Plunkett. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Resolution number 2018-15 passes with a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Next is a consideration of the 2019 budget for the town of Zionsville, Indiana. This is a first reading and also a public hearing. This is ordinance number 2018-21. Deputy Mayor Mitro.
Thank you. Mayor Hawk is now probably in a board meeting for AIM down at French Lick. It is the state conference, and he is a board member, so they're having a meeting this evening. He could not attend, so I'm pinch hitting for him on the presentation of the budget. To give you a real quick background, and I apologize with allergies, the voice is coming and going, so if I start rasping out, I may grab Mark and say, help. This process has been going on since actually June when the town staff began developing their individual department budgets. July 13th, we submitted a draft from all the departments to the mayor and Crow for review. That led to a draft budget, formal draft budget to the mayor on July 31st. August 13th, you all received a copy of the initial draft of the budget from the mayor. We did subsequently have one budget workshop in August. This is, again, the first reading of this. It will be heard on final reading on October 22nd. I will hit the highlights of the major budget items, and certainly we'll open it up if there are any detailed questions. We have the department heads all here. We have the head of the Park Board, and we also have Mark and Becca from Crow to answer any detailed questions. This is a fully funded budget. We're very pleased to present it to you. We have healthy line balances and healthy fund balances pretty much across the board. We are continuing to rely more and more on the public safety lit for public safety and shifting the other lit monies back to the departments, most importantly, streets and parks. The emphasis this year on budget increases have been emphasis on streets and parks. Basically, the police and fire had theirs with the development of the public safety lit. We've asked them to kind of hold steady. It's really the year for those guys to do their thing. From a standpoint of raises, we look at a 2.5%. Again, this is holding steady for the third year. And again, that is based on performance valuations. It can range anywhere from 0 to bad performance to a little over 3% for excellent performance. We are working this year on a major kind of reorganization of the IT department. As you can well imagine, with our growth and especially with the development of this building, we've quite frankly have outgrown the current facility and the capabilities of our IT, and that doesn't mean they're not capable. It just means that I'm going to have to put Joe in a rubber room real quick if we don't get him some help. So we have been looking to add additional people and also restructure the department in that we would have a director and then 2 deputy directors under them, which would be town staff. And then below that would be kind of the line staff, and that is being staffed by Sanhi Solutions through a contract. They're basically contract employees. If you see Mike running around from Sanhi, he is our current contract employee. We're looking to do all that in 2019. From a staffing standpoint, we do have some increasing in staff. As we noted, the street department has 1 tech that will be added, and again, that is to accommodate the additional services to be provided to the former rural areas now coming into the urban service district. Planning, we will be looking at adding 2. One is the creation, splitting off of the economic development functions currently served by Wayne as the Director of Planning and Economic Development. He will still be the Director of Planning and Economic Development, but we will have an economic development person, one that is their main role. Again, largely because of workload, we need to give Wayne some additional bandwidth in his department. And then also it will be backfilling 1 building inspector that we, when we raised Owen to basically a project director or project manager, we have a need to backfill that building inspector, so that's going to be added next year. Parks will add 2. One will be an full-time administrative assistant. Currently, we have a part-time. That person does not want full-time employment. With the coming on of the new nature center and park department, it will be time for them growing to have their own full-time administrative assistant. Right now, they sort of share the part-time position, and also Linda over in the streets department. And also with an addition to of 1 tech person. Again, it was very strongly felt after discussions with the park board president, with the superintendent, with the mayor, that we really need to redouble our efforts in many cases on maintenance of our parks. We're extremely good at building things. We could use a little bit of help in doing some of the maintenance, so we're putting our money where our mouth is. In all cases, save really 2, we are not spending down any reserves, and we are keeping an extremely healthy, more than healthy, reserve in most of the department funds. The 2, and not surprisingly, 1 is the CDC. And that is specifically for projects, most of them being street projects. Again, as you know, we stockpile that money and then we use them on projects and let it build back up. The other is the park department. They very much have a healthy balance. We are spending down some of the reserves, but it's on purpose, specifically to give them the firepower to both do this and hire where necessary, to kind of catch up on some maintenance items coming. Most everything else is held fairly steady. There's one addition in the food and beverage fund, and that is the chamber has requested support for a card system, kind of a gift card system that they would like to implement for all the businesses. That would take their share from $50,000 to $63,000. That is offset by a reduction in $10,000 as we phase out our support of the Z-Works executive director. As you remember, we did agree to fund that at a $10,000 level for 3 years to allow them to get their feet on the ground, and that 3 years has ended. So we're phasing that out as we noted that we would do. With that, that is the major overview of the budget. Again, it is fully funded. Where the town, I'm very pleased to say, is in great shape. We're doing very well. We have challenges. We'll always have challenges as we continue to grow, but we're very much in healthy shape. So with that, Mark, Becca, myself, or any department heads stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
How much did we set aside for road repair this year?
I believe it was $1.5 million. $1.5 million. That's in
Do
addition.
we have any idea what the outstanding balance is on the road repairs that we'd gotten an estimate that it was over $20 million needed at one point? I know we've spent some money on some road repairs, but we know what that balance is yet?
It's holding constant.
Okay, so still about $20 million. Thanks.
Other questions?
On Fund Code 182, bond number 2, I saw that there's nothing on the adopted budget, but there is an adopted tax levy behind it. That's bond number 2.
I'm sorry, where are you looking?
I am looking at the ordinance or resolution for appropriations and state taxes, this attachment Form 4.
Mark, can you help with that?
Yes, no? It looks like it's got the food
Or
tab.
Becca, I'm sorry.
Yes, no, maybe?
Bond number 2.
Yep.
Those are the 2018 bonds recently closed. We're budgeting for an operating balance.
I see. Okay, so those are the ones we're closed out of?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mayor Hawk is not taking a raise again this year, is that correct?
He is asked not to.
Okay.
Ed, do you have an estimate on the amount of the incremental lit tax that we anticipate receiving?
Total dollar amount, I think we do have that.
6.2.
In the certified shares, yep, we are estimating an increase from 2018, about $420,000, an increase from 2018. The total amount being 8.6 million in certified shares, and then the public safety lit is estimated at 4.8 million, and that's about a $200,000 increase from 2018. And these are still estimates from the DLGF, so you can see
The 4.8 million is the estimate that the town of Zionsville will receive out of the
Public
total
safety.
amount that we pay. We pay like twice that amount, right? And
Yeah.
half of it goes to the county, and then we get the other half.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? This is our final public hearing of the night. This is our final proof of publication. I will open it up if anyone else would like to come and discuss the budget. All right, I will close the public hearing. Any other questions for Deputy Mayor Mitro, or I would take a motion on this first reading?
I move approval.
I've got a first from Councilor Suarez.
Second.
Got a second from Councilor Spies. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion to introduce ordinance number 2018-21 on first reading passes with a vote of 6 in favor, 1 opposed. Thank you, Ed. Last for new business, we've got a consideration of a resolution adopting the Boone County All Hazard Mitigation Plan. This is resolution number 2018-16. Chief Knox, do you want to fill us in on this, please? You looked surprised when I called your name.
Absolutely was surprised. I want to introduce Rachel. She's from the Boone County Emergency Management, and she would be much more qualified to answer any questions you may have, but I'll stand by ready if I can.
Even better.
Hello.
Aye.
Hi, the hazard mitigation plan is a requirement from FEMA if we want to get FEMA funding. That would be for mitigation dollars, but also for public assistance that we get as a reimbursement after what would be considered a FEMA disaster declared disaster. And the last one that we had here was snow a few years ago, and we got some money back for the entire county, including the town of Zionsville. So if you don't adopt the plan, then you're not eligible for any FEMA funding, except for would be individual assistance, but none of the public assistance money that comes back after a disaster.
Is this a different plan than they had before when we received the funds from them?
This is an updated plan.
Okay.
So we have to have one every 5 years.
Okay.
The plan that we had in 2009 was where we received the funding after. It is further than 5 years, 2009, but we had some issues with the funding with the state, and that's why the plan is 2018 instead of 2014.
Does this require any commitment on expenditures from the town?
No.
It's just collaborative nature.
Yeah, and you had several members of the town that helped. Chief Van Gorder, Lance from the street department, and Chief Knox were all there at every meeting, part of the planning team to help put the plan together.
Great. Thank you.
In the event of a disaster, does this cede any rights the town has to FEMA or the federal government? I didn't read anything in there, but this is really around funding. It's not, we're not losing our ability to govern in the sense of if a disaster happened.
No,
Okay.
the state's still a local rule. So this is more for if you want to get funding for mitigation projects, you can apply for grants, but you have to have adopted this plan in order to apply for those grants, which could be tornado shelters, tornado sirens, things like that.
Any other questions? Take a motion then.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a first from Councilor Plunkett,
Second.
second from Councilor Hopper. I heard you first. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion to introduce, resolution number 2018-16 passes with a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. I have no other matters unless any councilor has anything to discuss. All right, next up is approval of claims. I'll make a motion to approve claims if there's no questions from any councils.
Second.
Second from Councilor Suarez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Claims are approved by a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a first from Councilor Hopper, second from Councilor Suarez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to adjourn approved by a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed. The next regular town council meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 22nd, 2018 at 7:30 a.m. in the Zionsville Town Hall Council Chambers. Please note this meeting shifted a week later to avoid fall break. All done.
For that.